Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ICAS Info Session 2024. My name is Hannah, and I will be your host for this session. I'm delighted to have you joining us from all around Indonesia. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, we have two insightful sessions ahead where we'll take a closer look at the ICAS assessment. Our first speaker is Ms. Yayu Rosman, who will be presenting about the ICAS platform, including registration, allocation, and test day arrangement. Ms. Yayu has been an integral part of the ICAS team and has extensive knowledge in managing and organizing this aspect. After that, we will have another session delivered by Mr. Nick Connolly, the Head of Analysis and Reporting at Jenison, Australia. This speaker brings exceptional expertise and insight, making their session invaluable opportunity for learning about the ICAS assessment. So, should you have any question during the session, feel free to type your question in the chat box. Okay, without further ado, let's begin the ICAS info session. Ms. Yayu Rosman, the time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I hope everyone is doing good, yeah? Okay, so I would like to share this is more like an information session for you before, during, and after the test. And all the information session will be delivered in English. However, if you have any questions that you would like to use Bahasa Indonesia, you can always chat us using Bahasa Indonesia, and that will be okay. All right, let's just start this session. All right, can you see my screen? Right, clear, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So now let's just start with the agenda for this session. So today I'm going to inform you about the preparations for the ICAS test, how to assign teachers as a test invigilator, and then registering students, allocating students to the test, printing the one-time code, and then lockdown browsers and technical requirements, as well as supervise live sessions before the test, during the test, and after the test. Okay, now, if you have any questions, and also a question and answer session, I'm sorry. And if you have any questions after each stage of these presentations, you are welcome to ask us questions. Okay, so let's just start with the first one, which is the test coordinator. If you are the test coordinator or the school coordinator of the ICAS test, you will receive an email from ICAS, or then you need to set up your password. Your username is your email address. So go and log in at icasassessment.com, or you can use the short portal. Now, once you are the school coordinator, you are able to do lots of things, including assigning teachers and registering students. Each school can only have one school coordinator. Now, let's just start with the first preparations, which is assign teachers. So assigning teachers here is the first stage of this. However, you can always do this after you register the students. Okay. So first thing, when you go into the portal, you will find this home page. Then you go to, assign teacher to classes. So by doing that, you are able to find this site. Okay, this page will give you ideas about the roles of the, make sure that you choose the right name of your school, and then you just choose the role that you would like to assign. Click teacher, then you can input the emails here in the email addresses. You can have more than one email by having the semicolon after one each between the emails. Okay. Then the teachers will have the email from the system. So please do not change anything on the email body. After that, you click send invitations, and all of the invitation will be delivered by email within seconds. So that's the first stage when you assign teachers. Now, after that, the next stage of the preparation is, which is quite important and complicated sometimes, it depends on how the numbers of the participants in your school, is importing students. Okay. The first thing that you have to do is just go to the portal, homepage portal, and you will find the import students access. Click that part, then you will be directed to this page. To make you easy, please download the template especially if you have lots of students joining the test. So download the template. You can click this download. You can click this download part. So let me just use my, sorry. So just click the download template, then you will be directed to some templates, to the Excel file. Okay. So however, sorry, before you go to the Excel file, you can look at the instructions step by step here, and it's going to help you a lot. Okay, so please read the instructions carefully, and this will be your help. Then later on, you'll be given this. You can have the template. The template has, you can have the Excel file. It has first name, last name, date of birth, gender, student's name, year group, and class group. Now, which are the mandatory column that you should fill in? So the mandatory columns are first name, last name, and date of birth. And one more is the year group. Okay, so these are the mandatory columns. If you miss to fill in one of this part, then your form will be rejected. It's going to be error. So after, make sure that you actually fill in the column correctly. Here, have a look at the example and how to fill in the file. So look at the first name. First name can include first and second name because Indonesian students usually have more than one names. So first name is the first and middle name. And then the last name, only one usually. And this date of birth is wrong. Okay, so to have the good one, you need to make sure that the forms of the date of birth is date, month, and year. Sorry, it should be for year. So year, 3, yeah? And the other important part is the year group. Make sure that you only fill in this column by numbers. Do not write anything, no words, nothing, just numbers. Okay. Now, what happens if you input the wrong data? So have a look at the example. So this data has some mistakes. So for example, if you look at the fourth column, it's an empty column. Perhaps after you added the file, you forgot to fill in the empty ones. Yeah, it is always possible, right? You delete one participant and then you forgot to fill in the column back. And then if you look at the year here, it has year 7. So it has word and number. Okay. So by doing that, the form will be rejected. So here you have the notifications that the student's import failed. So let's have a look at the notification carefully. So the error is on row number 4 because there is no first name given name because this is a mandatory column. And then still row number 4, still row number 4, still number 4. It means that this empty row can affect a lot. And then row number 2 could not allocate your group with the word. So there is no, have a look at back here. So year number 2, year 7. So because there is a word year, so this is not accepted. So you have to be careful in filling in the form. Moving on. Okay. So if you are unsure about how to do it, you can watch the video, the guide, and you can just go to this YouTube. So our admin will give you the link in the chat box. Please make sure that you can check the chat box. Okay. Now, after you registered all the participants of this test, then you can allocate the test license. So it means that you are grouping the students based on the test that they are taken. So have a look at this. So you go to the allocate tests. Then you choose the allocate test on the homepage. You choose allocate test license. Then you need to choose the types of the subject here. So this is what, if you have lots of lists, or if you are if you have already joined ICAS previously, you might have lots of lists here. The one that you've already done and the one that you are going to take. So here are the list of the students group. So what can you see here? So you select, I need to go back. So you choose the tests that you are going to allocate. For example, ICAS English B, and then you click this line. And if you can see that there are some informations that you can find on this page. Okay, So the first information is the types of the name of the folder or the name of the test, and then the subject, the assessment, and then the year, and also how many available tests and how many has been allocated, and then the action. So click action, then go to select all shown. So if you select all of the if you click this, it means that you select all of the students registered on this. Or so if the students actually join the same test, it's okay. However, if the students join different tests, then you need to check or click the students one by one. Okay. Now, so what's on the allocation page? Have a look at this one. Once you click the, you need to choose one student. For example, you choose the first student, you click the box, then you go to save. Okay, so unfortunately, you need to do it manually, so you need to be extra careful, especially if in one data sheet that you've got more than one students who join, or not all the students join the same test. And this is the most important part of the allocating test license. So if you look at this page, you will find the types of the tests, or the, sorry, type of the documents. And then we've got the assessment, the types of the assessment, and then the subjects that you take, and the year. And the last one is the allocations and availability. So availability, this column gives you information about how many tests that you purchased, and then how many participant has been allocated to these types of tests. Okay, so for example, if you only purchase, say that if you only purchase 50 tests, then you've got 52 students that you registered or allocated, the system will reject it. Okay, so the form won't be accepted. So you need to make sure that the numbers of the participants that you choose, and the numbers of the availability of the task is the same. Less is okay, but no more. Yeah. Okay, so that is when we allocate our students or our participants. So here you can also find the information. You can also filter the allocation page by checking this part. So this is a drop-down column. So you can just choose the right subjects, the right assignments, and then the year to make you easy to find which one that you need to choose, or which data that you need to choose. Okay, so that's allocating students. Who can allocate the students? Only the school coordinator, not the teachers, yeah? Okay, so now, here is the examples when you have already allocated the students. So if you can see that the test license for ICAS English B. So the name of the students that we've chosen is Mike, and then class 4 and test, and then this means that the test hasn't started yet. So you will have the data of the participants of this test once you have allocated them. Later on, moving on. Okay. The example is what happens if you make mistakes. Okay. If you make mistakes, then you can actually go to the edit column. So let me just move back. Have a look at this column, the green column on the corner. It has edit. So the edit column will give you ideas, will give you ways to edit the students. If, for example, you made a mistake on choosing the students, then you can just click edit. Then you go to, and this you will go here. Then uncheck this one, uncheck the students that you want to delete, then go save. That's it, as simple as that. Yeah. So actually, the allocating students is not complicated. The one that might be difficult is when you've got so many participants and the participants actually join different types of tests. So you have to be extra careful in allocating the participants. Okay. Now, if you are unsure, you can always go to our YouTube channel. So go to this link. Now there is a question. Wait. Okay, so this is what we need to pay attention to. So there is a question from Bapak Muhammad Azmi. For students' number, is it according to the enlistments or name? And then for the year groups, should we put the grade as the students are right now, or because the difference of the starting and end of academic year? Well, the level should be the latest level that the students are in. For example, this academic year 2024 to 2025. So if your students registered last year, for example, when they are in grade 3, then you need to register it as grade 4 or year 4, because now they are at year 4, although they are only just started year 4. Okay. And then the other one is the student numbers. If you mean that the student numbers listed on the file, the Excel file, it is up to you. So that is not a mandatory, and there is no format for that one. It's not mandatory column, so there is no format for the student number there. Okay. Another questions related to this one is from Ibu Melita Sari. So it says that when will we use the username and password to access the portal? There will be email from us once you from ICAS. So please check your email regularly. Yeah. Are we going to get this PowerPoint? Well, we are going to give you some links, so you can go to the link. You can check the video. You're going to also have some handbooks about that. Okay. All right. There is another question from Ibu Susi. If we edit the students' data, then we need to re-input back. Yes, you might need to re-input them if you input them in the wrong test. Okay. Thank you. Right. From Mr. Ricardo, use Kausaran, sorry if I mispronounce your name. The coordinator assigned teachers for invigilating the exam. Yes. I mean, like the school might assign, but then you are the one who put the data in this into the portal. All right. So moving on to the next part of the preparation, which is printing the student's login or one-time code. Now, this is also as simple. This is also quite simple. So you go to the ICAS portal page or homepage, and then you click print student logins. Once you go there, you'll be directed to this page. The page will tell you what to do. So please, you can just use this filter. You can just use this filter. So the class group, the test group, and then the select product, the type of the tests, yeah, and the year. And how many pages that you want to print, how many students numbers that you want to print per page. Okay. So here, for example, and then you just download. So for example, okay, so you go to select the topic, which is ICAS. And then you go to select the class group. You go to print the layout, and then you click download. Then this is the students input, one-time input code that you can get. So you can cut them up, and then later you can distribute this number to the participants or to the students. My suggestion is to distribute it on the day of the test. Don't distribute it before the test, because we never know if they miss this. So you can also hand these numbers to the teachers who you assign to invigilate the test. So later the teachers will distribute the numbers to the students. Okay, so that is printing. These preparations is very, these preparation stages are very important. So you please make sure that you actually follow the stages carefully. Now, after you print the students, it means that everything is almost ready. However, before you decide to join the test, or before you decide to invite the students to join the test, make sure that the students actually have or met the technical requirements to join this. As you know that this is an online test or a digital test, so they need to use the proper equipment or proper gadget to take the test. Now have a look at the technical requirement. So the browsers, actually, most of the browsers are actually can use to open the portal, but then again, we suggest you to use Google Chrome. Okay. All right. Next, have a look at the first. So this is the one that compatible with the operating system is Chrome 28 Plus, Firefox, Internet Explorer 11 Plus, Safari 6. Safari 6. So these are the browsers that can be used to open the portal or the updated ones. Yes, this is the minimal operational system. Okay. So there is a question from Miss Susie. Can we go back to the slide? Which slide? If I'm not mistaken, I don't know which one that you are that you want to see. I can go back to that slide later on. So another thing is that you need to pay attention to when you can inform your students that the device that can be used for the test. Yeah. So laptop, but again, it should be up to the latest operational system. Yeah, not the old ones. And then desktop PC, Chromebook, iPad, or Android tablet. However, have a look at. So you do not need external keyboard or mouse if you are using tablet. Okay. And then the iPad mini is not supported. So you can't use iPad mini. You just need to use regular iPad or iPad Pro. It's okay. And devices must be connected to a single screen only. Okay. There is a question about step-by-step to print the student's login. Again, you can actually access the video. Later, I'm going to give you the link. The admin will give you the link to the video and how to print the student's one-time code. Okay. Now, these are the supported operating system and the bandwidth and then the setting. So make sure that you check the bandwidth of your internet connections before the test day. Because as you know that the students will take the test at the same time, and if you have lots of numbers of students taking the test at the same time, of course, you need to have a good bandwidth. Now, make sure that you don't have any internet connectivity problems because again, it can affect the test. Okay, so here are the guidelines. These informations can be you can get these informations on the ICAS website. All right, then. So that's the preparations. For 2 new tests that we are going to have this year, which are writing and spelling bee, you required to download the secure lockdown browser for the ICAS writing and ICAS spelling bee. So it's a Jenison replay. The reason is because we need to prevent students from accessing other applications. And we also need to prevent the use of operating system commands such as Control-Alt-Delete, okay, stuff like that. And it all disable features such as camera, spell check. So this is a very secure browser. And then again, it will prevent executions in a virtual machine or a virtual desktop. Yeah. So make sure that if your students join writing and spelling bee, they have to download this. Where to get it? So you can just go to the ICAS website. Then you can get the lockdown browser readiness test. Yeah, just to see whether your device can actually download this or can actually install this. After that, you can just choose what operational that you are using or which operating system that you are using. If you're using Windows, click this one, installation guide. If you're using Mac, this one is the installation. So it's very easy. Go to the website and click the right one. Okay, now, once you download it, once you install the lockdown browser, you will be given this one. So this one is to confirm soft lock and click yes. However, if you are using iPad, then when you first used it, when you first opened the lockdown browser, then you will find these informations on your screen. So please connect me to an inside server. So if you find this, just use this URL, copy this URL, and then enter it. Yeah, these will be needed. So make sure that you have this ready. There is a question from Mr. Ricardo Coseran again. Student take spelling bee and writing need to download that? Yes. Okay. A different code for each student. What code do you mean? It depends on the gadget or depends on the computer that you are using. Yeah, there is no code for this. If you mean that the one-time code for the students, that is you are still going to print the same one-time code from the same website, but from the same page on the portal. This is a special requirement for writing and spelling bee to to minimize or to prevent the students to open other website. Yeah. So there is no such code, especially for this one. You just need to go to the website and then click the right operation system, either Windows or Mac OS, for example, and click the installation guide. It's very as simple as that. Okay. Once you have the lockdown browser open, I'm sorry if the picture is not really clear because we can't actually take a screenshot for this one. Yeah. So you will be given this. Okay. Your computer needs to close some program and background process. So you need to clear everything from your computer before you can actually operate the lockdown browser. Okay. So close all this and you click yes. Then you go to this. Okay, so you enter the session code, which will be given by the teachers later on the test day. Okay, then voila, you take the test. Yeah, so this is what you should do when the students take writing and spelling bee. Okay, so now what do you think will happen during the test day? So let's move on to the, if you have any question, feel free to ask, yeah? Let's move on to supervising live session. Now, on the day or before the day of the live session, first thing is you go to the ICAS start and log in using your username and password. This is for the teachers or for all the invigilators. After that, you go on the teacher dashboard, click the supervised live session, live test icon. So you will find this. Okay, and click supervised live tests. Then, after that, you create new test session and then you will be given a new code. Okay, share this code with the students so you can write the code on the board. My suggestion is you have the board telling the code, you have the board and you give all the information needed by needed by the students. For example, the test session code, yeah, and the time, the starting time and the finishing time. Okay, so these, after you click create new test sessions, you will be given session code. So this is the one that you will give your students. Okay, this will appear on your computer, so your students won't be able to see it. Therefore, you need to write it down on the whiteboard. Okay, after that, okay, so once the students enter the live sessions code and their one-time code, the students will be listed on the supervised live session screen like this. Okay, and the status will click, you will find the status not started. So make sure that everyone has joined the class or the test, yeah, by inputting their one-time code and the session code. So this is what you will see on your computer screen. After that, when all the students have logged in, then you can click the start session. Click the start sessions and you'll be given, there will be a pop-up notification and you click yes. Then this list will be shown on your screen. Yeah, so the status will change into started. Make sure that you also can see the time joined. So make sure that the students know when when they are supposed to stop the test. Okay. All right then. So you can see this one. So this will be the list of the students on your screen once they have already once they've logged into the test. Now, what happens if the students really need to go to the toilet, for example, or they need to pause the test? You can actually pause the test. Sorry. So you can actually pause the test by clicking this. Click the student's name. There is a box next to the student's name. And click that one. Okay. And you can have the pause the student. There will be a notification that you will receive. Pause attempt, student selected one. And if you accidentally clicked it, then you just click cancel. But if you agree that you can give the students pause, then you just click confirm. By doing that, the students will just stop. Yeah. Okay. So here, the status of that specific students will be paused. And the time will stop for them. Once they are back, they will be back to the test that they last attempted. There is a question from Mr. Raditya Rizki. Can you supervise more than just one paper? The example given just paper A and digital tech. Can you also supervise paper? Yes, in the same room, yes. You can actually supervise different types of paper in the same room. However, then you have to be extra careful in the timing and you need to write down the time in detail for each test, for example, because they've got a different time limit. Yeah. So make sure that the students know when to stop. All right. So because again, later the test, the student's test type will be shown here, like the test step. Yeah, type of the test here will be given here. Okay. Thank you for the question. So next is when you want to resume the student's attempt, then you just click resume student. Then there is another pop-up notifications and you just click confirm. So that is during when a student has confirmed that they have finished the test, their status will change to submitted. Yeah, so when they click the finish button, it means that the status will change and the alert will appear if a student has completed the test but not submitted. Therefore, you must click the checkbox next to the student's name and then submit the student. So you can actually submit the student. Okay, and then the student status will change the submission. Okay. All right then. So that is during the when you supervise the test. Now, let's have a look at a short video. Let's watch a short video from the student's point of view while they are actually sitting the test. Yeah. So this is a very short video.
In this video, we will be stepping into the student's point of view on test day and guide them through the steps to successfully complete an assessment. To begin the test, head on over to the assessments platform by typing in the URL icas.site/star. Once on the assessment platform, you will be able to see a student login for both ICAS and Reach, but you will need to make sure you click on the correct assessment that you are sitting. Click Start Test. Please note, if you are sitting spelling or writing subjects, you will need to make sure you are using Janus Replay. On the next page, you will be asked for an 8-letter session code. Enter in the code, then click Next. The session code used on the screen is just for demonstration, and the teacher will give you the right session code on test day. On the next page, you will have to type in your one-time code. Your teacher will give this code to you and is unique only to you. Once submitted, click Next, and you'll be asked, are you ready to start your test? Click Yes and wait for your teacher or test supervisor to begin the test session. On this page, make sure your name is correct, and if it is not, let your teacher know immediately. Once the test is started, you will find small icons and buttons on the test player. On the top left corner is a magnifying glass which allows you to zoom in on your screen. Next to the magnifying glass is a yellow circle that says Hide Time. This will hide the time display. You can click the button again to change it back and forth. In the top right corner, you will also find a microphone tester and a speaker tester. If you were struggling with a question or would like to come back to one, you can simply flag the question by pressing the flag button. To view all the questions in the test, click on the rectangular button next to the word questions. Here you are able to see which questions you have not yet read, flagged, or left unanswered. After you have viewed the last question, click Next, and it will bring up the view of all the questions for the test. Click on the question number to return to that question if you have either flagged or left it unanswered. Make sure you have answered all the questions, including the flagged questions, then press Finish. Once you've pressed Finish, click Yes, and your test will be submitted. Click Log Out, and then click Yes to log out of the test. Congratulations, you have successfully completed a Reach Your ICAS assessment. For more information or guides on ICAS or Reach, head to the support page found on the ICAS Assessments website.
Okay, so that is from the student's point of view while they are sitting the test. Now there is a question, let's just move a little, sorry. There is a question from Miss Pamela. Since we have grade level that has a lot of participants, we will have 2 rooms and 2 invigilators. So is it okay to have differentiation code for the same grade level? The answer is yes. You can actually create test sessions for each room. So 1 room, 1 test session. Okay. All right. Okay. So actually, the teachers can make the code, but the coordinator can also make the code. Yeah. It is suggested that the school coordinator who create the code. Now, thank you for the question. So before we go to the after the test, there is a request to check to see the print, the one-time code again, right? So let me just stop sharing for a few seconds and I'm going back to that page. All right. We still have a little time. If you still have any questions, feel free to ask me. Just a second. I'm just checking the page that you need. Okay. Can I have the specific question for printing? One that you need. Okay. Let's just go sharing the screen. All right, done. Can you see my screen now? So this is the print. So when you go to the home page, the portal, click Print Student Login. Then you'll be directed to this page. Then you can just use this screening just to choose what test that you are going to print. Okay. And then you just can choose the types of the tests and then which class group. So if you look at it one by one, you click the name of the product. You can also filter the name of the type, the selected type, and then the year and the task group, the class group, sorry, not the task group, the class group. If you make the different types of class group, yeah. And then how many pages that you want, how many students code that you want to have on one page. You've got some option there. It's just a drop down option, so you can actually do it easily. and then click download. Is that you would like to know? Hope it's the right one. Okay. Have you still got any questions? We still have a few minutes left for my session. Okay. If not, I'm going to
Miss
stop
Rose,
sharing. Yes.
sorry, Miss Rose. I tried to type the question into the chat. I think you could see that. So my question is like, because the first exam closing date is for writing, right? On 26th July. So for the licensing registration, do we need to mention all subject student numbers into the form, or we just can mention for the writing exam for now? Because our students are still, they just came back to the school. They're still trying to find out on what subjects they want to actually sit down, and then they have to confirm with the dates, like their availability for those dates or for that period for the sitting into the exam. So for example, like I'm just going to submit my application for registration as a school license. So should I mention all subject numbers?
For the specific student?
Yeah, for the specific student.
Okay, so what you do is you actually buy the license or buy how many tests that you would like to have. So the student need to decide before you actually buy the test, because you buy the numbers of the tests later on. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I mean to say, like, because the other subject closing dates are on the later on time, So can we get the still updates from our students and we can register them later on?
Oh, okay. So the registration actually not related to the buying the test. You can buy the
Yeah.
test, just buy the numbers of the test, and then you can register the students later on.
Yeah. So
And-
basically, for tomorrow when I'm submitting the application for registration, do I need to specify all subject numbers? Like, for example,
Not
English.
yet. It doesn't matter. You do it under when you are allocating the test.
Okay.
So when you
That's good.
register the students, you can just register the students because there is no subject. You can just make it into different files. Yeah, but then again, you can actually allocate the students. So you can register the students, but then allocate the test later on before you do before the student take the test.
Okay.
Yeah. So the student list will be. You can have one student list for all the students taking all the tests. Actually, if you want to. Yeah. But then again, you need to choose it one by one, kind of like individually.
Okay.
I hope it helps.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, any other questions before we just close my session?
I'm sorry. I want to ask. I think there are two. The first one, is my voice clear?
Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
I already put it in the chat, but so our school is an Islamic boarding school, whereas we have the male and female student in separate buildings. Yeah. So that means for the test, can we conduct it in two different buildings, but still in one class, one in female and one for the male?
One class. You mean one code?
Yeah, I mean the code. I can like give it to the other invigilators in the other buildings, for the female one, and she will give
I
it.
see.
Can it be done?
Okay, it is possible. It is possible, but then again, it's kind of like but difficult for the invigilator to check the numbers of the students. When there are two different rooms, you really need to know who are in one room and who are in the other rooms.
Yeah, I mean like we can make like the live also during either here or there. It can be using Zoom or Google Meet, and for the number of students in the different room, I mean like after we registered them, we know that how many female and how many males, right? So we know that how many students are there in the male building and how many students are there in the female building. We can also use the presence form for them. We can hand them out to the teachers to check.
Yes, but we suggest you to have one code for one classroom.
Yeah, I mean like it's like this is a one, but so the code we still give the code to both of the building, both of the classes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's still using one code. Yeah.
It is possible because that's kind of like an online code actually.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter if you have one code for 2 rooms. However, we suggest you if you have two classrooms, then we suggest you to have two class code.
Oh, okay. So two class. That does that mean that we have to put another teacher coordinator?
The school coordinator is only one, but then the invigilators can be more than one.
Oh, okay. So that means
Invigilators is
that
the one who sit in the class here, watching the students. It can be more than one.
also that means we just need to register that there are two invigilators, right?
Yes. So
Right,
they can supervise the test.
Oh, so that means okay.
But they don't
Get
have
it.
any access to register the students, to delete the students. They can only monitor the students.
Monitor the students, get the
during
code,
the
right?
test. Yes.
Okay. And the second one is that I get the result from the ICAS last year, and it's a little bit different than the one that we have in the previous years, actually after before COVID. Will there be any after service from the UTC about how to read the result of the
Okay.
test? Because the new one is like you are this percentile, you are this percentile. Here is your place, and then if you want to know the result, you have to log in and then use the code in the back of the paper, right?
Okay. So can I answer this question later? Because
Yes.
so we're gonna give you we're gonna answer this question by email if it is possible, because again my session is almost finished and it's gonna be next sessions. But then we will answer that question for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the results, just a few seconds. So for the result, you will be given email when the results are available. Yeah. So you just check. This is how to click to find the result. But then again, you'll be given email to inform you when if the result is ready.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. You're most welcome. Right. Thank you very much for your attentions. And again, if there are any questions that we haven't answered yet, we'll send all the questions, but we'll try to answer the questions by email. I will send the email. We're going to compile the questions and then send it by email to you. Okay. I think that's all from me. Thank you. I'll give this back to Hannah. Okay, Hannah, time is yours.
Thank you so much, Miss Yayu. Your information is very useful for all of us. Okay. Okay, before we start the next session, if you have any question regarding report and analysis, we will open a Q&A at the end of the session. Please keep your question concise and relevant to the topic at hand to make the best use of our time together. Okay. Now let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Nick Connolly from Jenison, Australia. Good morning, Mr. Nick. Good morning, sir. Okay. Okay, without further ado, let's begin the session. Mr. Nick, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Nick Connolly. I've been involved in ICAS for many years now. I'm currently head of analysis and reporting at Jenison, and my job is basically to manage any kind of analysis of test data or manage the reporting of test data either in bulk to governments or school by school. So what I want to talk to today is about the ICAS reporting system. So I've got a few short slides and then I'm going to show you the actual system itself. And then hopefully that should work. Okay, can you all see that? Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Can people see the screen?
Yes,
Yep,
we can
thank
see.
you. Good, okay. So I'll talk through that. So the ICAS is a competition, and that's an important part of how the process works. We don't reveal results until the competition window has closed for students in a region. Once all students have sat, the data is processed, and the results all go through a checking process before they're being released to schools. Schools should get access to online reports with about 10 working days from the end of the competition window. and schools can then inform parents of details that they may want to have to access student reports. Printed reports and certificates are sent to schools within a few weeks. Obviously, that can take longer because there's printing involved, and some schools choose to distribute certificates at schools award nights at the end of the year or in other ways. So got a little diagram there showing you the sort of the process that goes on. One of the things that's important here in terms of making sense of the awards is that we have different criteria. Basically, the high distinction is the top 1% of students in a region. And that's done region by region. So when we say top 1% for Indonesia, that would be the top 1% of students in Indonesia. The distinction is the next 10% of students, credit the next 25% of students, merit the next 10% on top of that, and then everybody else is participation. So basically, it's just about 50% of students who get some kind of awards, whether it's a merit or a high distinction. So it's a challenge even to get a merit, but many students might get to at least that level. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip off from this screen and move on to this screen here. So this is the actual reporting platform itself. And this is for a fake school. It's called ABC Primary School. This isn't a real school. This isn't real students, but the platform itself, the website is a real website. This is genuinely how it works. What we did is we made up a school, we've put it in there, we got people to pretend to be students and answer lots of ICAS questions so that we've got student details. And that way I can show you what's on the screen without breaking anybody's privacy. So obviously we keep student details and their results confidential, and the only people who can access those are yourselves using your school passwords and logins, and students themselves if you give them the details. So what I'll do is I'll go through and look at each one. Sorry. And look through each of the things that you can see when you enter the reports. So I'm going to pick on mathematics. This is from 2023, obviously, because last year. And the first screen you see is this listing of all of the year levels. You can see the scores in each of the regions and how many students have got each award. This school, because it's a fake school, we only put in some details for particular year levels. You can see some year levels have got a long bar. I'll explain that in a moment. And others have just got a line. Basically, the ones that just have a line, that's where we only put in a small number of students. So if you only got like 5 students sitting ICAS at a particular year level, you'll get fewer details on the report. On this one, we have many students sitting, so we've got these more detailed reports because we can say more about how your schools perform if there are lots of students there. So I'll pick on year 6. It's not doing it. And we get onto the summary screen here. Now, what you can see is we start very general, and then as you click different menus, it takes you down and down to more and more precise information. We'll start off looking at all the subjects that you may have sat, and then we can look at all of the year levels that you sat in that subject, and now we're down to a particular year level. And what we have is these bars, and basically what the bar is showing is where the middle 80% of your students, what kind of range of scores that they got. So we ignore the bottom 10%, the students who got low scores, the very lowest performing students, and we ignore the very top 10% because they might stretch out the whole results. This gives you a better sense of how most of your students have performed. The black vertical bar there is showing the average for the school. Now, because this is a fake school, it's a little bit hard to show it, but what your reports would say here for this grey bar is it would say Indonesia. If it was in Australia, it would say Australia. If it was in New Zealand, it'd say New Zealand. Singapore, it'd say Singapore. And basically this grey bar would show how everybody else performed in your country. So you can compare the blue bar with the grey bar. So what's this other blue bar? Well, okay, what we have here is different ways of splitting up the students. So, for example, we might look at just the boys. If you've got boys and girls in the school, you could look at just the boys. And you see this blue bar now says boys instead of all students. Or we could look at a particular class. So if you put that class data in when you register your students, then that will appear in the reports. And you can see here, now we're looking at class 6A and how they performed. And you can see that's changed to say class 6A. So this is interactive. It can change what you see on screen by the choices you make on the menu here. We've got the average score that students performed, the standard deviation, how spread it out it is. And here this is showing you, well, what proportion of students at your school at this year level got particular awards. So we can see most of the students in the school got participation, some got a merit, some got a credit, distinction, a tiny number got a high distinction. The one thing that we can't show on the report system is how many students got medals, because the medal process takes longer, it's done separately, and we have special checks in place to ensure that everybody who got a high enough score for a medal also qualified for a medal based on other criteria. We've also got all the subcategories for each of the tests. So in this case, it's mathematics. We've got number and arithmetic, algebra, measure and units, space and geometry, and chance and data, or statistics if you prefer. And again, you can see if we change that to a class, you can see that the top bar is now specific to that class. And the second bar is about the school. Okay, so that's your overview. We can also go and look at the individual questions. So on this page, we can see all of the questions listed in question order. We can also see how many people in your country got it right. So in this case, this would say Indonesia. How many people in the school. And again, this all students correct is interactive, and we can change it to be about, a class. It now says class 6A. And there's other things we can do here as well. We can, for example, rearrange the order in which we're seeing things. Most of the things on this page is interactive. So for example, we might want to look at questions not in the order that they were seen, but in the order of difficulty. So now we can see, oh, here we've got, this was the very hardest question. Only 2% of students got this correct. And way down here is the very easiest question. And that's useful in various ways. And again, we can put them in the other way around. Here's the easiest to the hardest, or we can go over here and put them in order of the different categories. So again, making it easier for you to look and find different particular information about the students, about the questions. Going a little bit further, this page gives us the students' results. And now we've got all of the students, oh, right, in fact, all of the students in that class. I'll put it on all students now. All of the students in the school in year 6. We can see the names, obviously. We can see the score they got. We can see the award that they got and the percentile. In other words, what percentage of students got that score or lower. So higher is better there. We can, again, this is interactive. We can look at the easiest questions and the hardest questions. We can see which student did best down to the student who got the lowest score. And again, we can do this in any order we like. As well as that, we can look at it by skill area. So here we have each student and how many questions they got right in each of the areas in the test. So that gives you a better breakdown on that performance. We can go even deeper than that. So we can keep going down, down, down into more precise views of how the students have performed. We can pick on one particular student, and then we'll get an individual student report that we can see here. We can see the student's performance against country. We can see the black dot shows where they sit. So you can see this student did very well on algebra and patterns at the top of the school, but did less well on chance of data at the bottom of the school. We can also see how this particular student performed on individual questions. So we have all of the questions again. You see it's very similar to what we saw before for all of the students, but now we're looking at an individual student. So this also shows whether they got the question right or wrong. So in this case, we can see that they got question 1 correct and they got question 2 incorrect. But another thing we can do is if we put these questions in order of difficulty, what we can look for is some interesting patterns. So we can see here, the questions now, I've used this column, percentage students who got it right in the school, and question 36, 96% of people got that correct. And the student got it correct as well. And then as we go down, these questions are getting harder and harder, fewer people are getting them correct. And when we get to this question, this is the easiest question that the student got incorrect. And that's particularly interesting if you think about it, okay? It's not surprising if we carry on scrolling down, this student didn't get the hardest question in the whole test correct. It's more surprising when they get a question relatively early on in the test that it is easier than a lot of questions that they got right. And that's suggesting, well, this is something that this student didn't do that well in, but it's something that's probably easy enough that the student could have got it right. So we can look and see what that was about. Well, it was about place value. It was about understanding tenths. So it's probably about decimal numbers. And that's probably something we should look at with the students, say, oh, maybe that's an area you need to do more practice on, rather than focusing on the very hardest questions for the student, which really, from about question 20 onwards, they're not really getting many of those right. Whereas these questions back here, the relatively easy questions that they could have got right, but didn't get right. So those are the things that they can really build their skills on and do better in the future. We can also here, if you don't have the print version of the certificate, you can download a version. You can also, on each of these pages, there are print summaries that you can download as PDFs if you want to print them out. It's taking a little while. There you go. So if you want to print that out and you want the information presented in a nice way, you can do that. I'll close that. And also on each of these pages, as well as printing them out, you can also export files here and see all of the data on a spreadsheet if you want to put that into your own systems or you want to do your own calculations with it, all of that information can be pulled straight from the system. And there's nothing you can break here, obviously. So once you get access, feel free to click on the different menus, see which parts do things, which parts are interactive and which parts are not. There's usually some, you can see even like little pop-ups that will tell you what's going on. And there's usually some help here that will give you more information about how to look at individual parts of the report. And you can always go back up again to the very top. And not only will you see all of the subjects that the students in your school have sat, but you should see data from previous years as well. And, you know, that will go back to however many years that you've been doing ICAS as that particular school. So that's about it for what I have to show you. Like I said, there's nothing that you can break here. So once you get access to your school reports after the students have sat, which again should be about 10 working days, feel free to log in, have a look around, print out what you need to, export any information you need to, and see what you can find out about how your students have performed. So, any questions or things that I can help people with?
Okay, we have now come to the Q&A segment where you have the opportunity to ask questions. Please raise your hand. If you have any question, please raise your hand and open your microphone. Or any... Okay.
Oh,
Oh, Miss Melita. Oke, Miss Melita.
Oke, selamat siang. Suara saya jelas?
Ya, Miss, bisa didengar.
Oke, yang saya mau tanyakan bukan di sesi yang ini sih, tapi yang sesi sebelumnya hanya untuk memperjelas saja. Kalau misalnya dalam satu subjek ada beberapa grade yang ikut ujian, berarti bisa disatukan ya dalam pelaksanaannya? Atau harus dalam ruang terpisah?
Miss Yayu. Miss Yayu, are you there? Oke, baik Miss Melita. Untuk pertanyaannya itu bisa dilakukan di ruangan yang berbeda juga, Miss. Meskipun apa tadi grade-nya berbeda ya tadi ya.
Oke, berarti pelaksanaan
Ah, ah.
ujiannya berbeda-beda ya, Miss ya?
Iya, betul. Jadi disesuaikan dengan time schedule yang sudah diberikan saja. Jika dilaksanakan dalam beberapa waktu, itu juga diperbolehkan. Yang penting masih dalam satu periode tanggal ujian yang disiapkan. Seperti itu.
Oke. Dan untuk username passwordnya akan dikirim setelah ini ya, Miss ya?
Username dan passwordnya akan dikirimkan oleh pihak Jenisan setelah datanya kami submit ke mereka, lalu sudah di-approve, baru nanti sekolah akan menerima apa namanya login untuk password dan username-nya untuk masuk ke portalnya.
Untuk yang register muridnya.
Untuk mendaftarkan muridnya.
Oke, kalau gitu. Berarti antara hari ini dan besok ya. Karena kan closing
Kalau
date untuk yang writingnya 26 Juli.
iya betul.
Oke, oke. Kalau gitu. Terima kasih, Miss.
Ya, thank you, Miss. Any question, Bapak Ibu?
In theory, it can, but it's not. The reporting platform's not really laid out nicely for on a smartphone. So that's something we'd like to introduce in the future. You can attempt it, but it doesn't quite fit nicely on the smartphone. But it would work on the browser. But yeah, an iPad would be fine. I often look at it on an iPad. On the phone, it's not quite laid out nicely for a phone. That should generally, the system tries to pick up and identify students that have sat over multiple years. So what it does is it looks for students with the same name and birth date from the same school. And what it will do is it try and match those names, and therefore if they had a login from the previous year, they should be able to log in again. There is a feature that will allow people to merge their IDs. That doesn't always work so well. Obviously, it's difficult to get the systems to identify the two things. But generally, if the student has sat in the same school, you've recorded the birth date the same, and you've typed in the name in the same way as you did the previous year, the system will actually spot that and say, yeah, that's the same student. And therefore, if they have login details from last year, those details will work again the following year.
Okay, any question, Bapak Ibu? Okay, I think your session is clear enough, Mr. Nick. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for the invaluable insight.
Oh, it's lovely to speak
Okay,
to you.
you're welcome. Okay, Bapak Ibu, as we are approaching the end of our info session, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you for your participation, insightful question, and valuable contribution throughout this session. Ms. Yayu and Nick, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us today. Your insights have been truly invaluable. I would also like to express our appreciation to UTC, ICAS, and Jenison Australia for their support in making this info session possible. Okay, Bapak Ibu, if you have any future question or need additional information, please feel free to reach out to us at the email address and WhatsApp number on your screen. Once again, thank you very much for being a part of this webinar. We look forward to welcoming you to our future event. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.